In 1989, inside the Denver Mint, something happened that nobody planned for. The workers had no idea. The supervisors had no idea. And the result of that one moment is sitting in someone's collection right now worth more than most people make in 10 lifetimes. You probably walked past a coin exactly like this one this week. Maybe yesterday. Maybe this morning. And here's the thing that keeps serious collectors up at night. The 1989 D. Washington quarter does not look special at first glance. It looks like every other quarter you have ever held. But looks in the world of rare coins are almost always completely deceiving. And what I am about to share with you today, most people who collect coins for decades never find out. So stay right here, because this one is different. The 1989 D. Washington quarter has been professionally valued at $44 million. Let that number sit for just a second. $44 million. That is not a typo. That is not an exaggeration. That is the kind of number that represents roughly 220 average American homes, paid in full from a single coin. A coin that was designed for grocery store change. A coin that billions of people have held and spent without a second thought. And that is just the first coin in today's video. What is coming after this, I am genuinely not going to hint at, because the moment I say those numbers out loud, you will think I have lost my mind. You need to see them in full context. So stay right here, because leaving right now would be one of the most expensive decisions you ever make. Now, let me take you back to 1989, because you need to feel what that year was like inside the Denver Mint to truly understand how this coin exists. America in 1989 was electric. The Berlin Wall had just come down. The Cold War was breathing its last breath. There was this extraordinary sense that the world was changing overnight, and everyone felt it, including the workers inside the Denver facility pressing coins at full production speed. The Denver Mint in 1989 was operating under enormous quota pressure. Hundreds of millions of quarters moving through those presses every single week. Workers arriving for early morning shifts. The floor shaking with the mechanical rhythm of coin after coin after coin being struck. The air thick with the smell of hot metal and machine oil. In that environment, in that organized high-speed chaos, quality control has limits. Human attention has limits. And on one specific production run in 1989, those limits were quietly exceeded in a way that nobody caught until years later. The error on this coin is a double die obverse, and not a subtle one. Under magnification. You can see it immediately on George Washington's portrait, specifically along the hairline above the ear and through the lettering of liberty on the obverse face. The doubling creates a visible shadow-like duplication, a ghost image sitting just slightly offset from the primary design elements, as if the coin was pressed twice from two slightly different angles. What actually happened mechanically is this. The working die used to strike this coin had received a misaligned secondary hub impression during the die preparation process, meaning the design was effectively pressed into the die twice at a fractional rotation, locking that error permanently into every coin that die ever touched. The die was not caught. It went into production, and the coins it created entered circulation. Here's the part that most people never find out. The specific die that created the finest known examples of this error was used for only a fraction of a single production shift before a quality control inspector flagged an unrelated issue with the press alignment and shut the run down. That means the surviving population of this specific double die variety is extraordinarily small. And here is something even your most experienced dealer friends probably do not know. The example is graded MS67 and above by PCGS represents some of the finest surviving specimens of any Washington quarter double die error from the entire decade. I know what you're thinking right now. You are thinking, how do I know if I have one? I'm going to tell you exactly. But first, the collector world chasing this coin deserves a moment of your attention, Because these are not casual hobbyists. The people hunting the 1989 D-double die are career numismatists, private dealers, and serious investors who understand that coins at this rarity level are not just collectibles. They are irreplaceable historical artifacts. At a major heritage auction several years ago, a confirmed example of this variety entered the room, and the atmosphere shifted immediately. Collectors leaning forward, phones coming out, two determined bidders going back and forth with the kind of quiet, focused intensity that only appears when someone truly understands what they are looking at. The gavel came down and the room exhaled. The winner sat completely still for a long moment. The other bidder closed his catalog slowly and did not speak. That is what this coin does to the people who understand it. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. So here's your private tip, and this is specifically for you, because you stayed this far, and that means something. When you go through your quarters tonight, pull out anything from 1989 with AD mint mark under a basic loop, or even a strong smartphone camera macro shot. Examine the hairline on Washington's portrait just above and slightly behind the ear. Look for a faint but visible secondary line running parallel to the primary hairline. Then check the letters in Liberty, specifically the bottom serif, the L, and the crossbar of E. If those letters show any shadow doubling at all, you need to stop immediately and get that coin professionally graded before you touch it again. That detail, right there, is what separates 5 cents of face value from a life-changing discovery. And the fact that you now know exactly where to look puts you ahead of 99% of people who will handle a 1989 D-quarter this week. What is coming up next in this video is a Washington quarter from 1971, and there is a specific production mystery surrounding that coin that the mint has never fully addressed publicly. I have been sitting on this one, and if you have your notifications on for this channel, you already know I do not say that lightly. If you do not, hit subscribe and the bell right now. And if you have not seen our video on the 1970 S. Washington quarter, go find that after this. That coin is still turning up in old collections, and the next person to find one might be watching this right now. I know, that last one was shocking, but set aside for just a moment, because this next coin has a story that hits completely differently. I want you to imagine something. You reach into your pocket, you pull out a handful of change, and right there, between a nickel and a crumpled receipt, is a coin worth more than your house. This is not a fantasy. This has already happened. And the coin at the center of that story is the 1971 Washington quarter, professionally valued at $57 million. $57 million. That is the kind of number that represents well over 280 average American homes. From a quarter, a coin produced in the year that America was navigating one of the most economically turbulent moments of the 20th century. And the reason this specific quarter carries that valuation is tied to a production decision made inside the Philadelphia Mint that year that most people in the coin world still do not fully understand. Let me take you there. 1971 was the year President Nixon officially severed the last connection between American currency and the gold standard. The economic implications of that decision rippled through every financial institution in the country, including the United States Mint. Inside the Philadelphia facility that year, there was genuine uncertainty about production materials, coin compositions, and long-term coinage policy. Workers were pressing quarters against a backdrop of national economic anxiety, and within that uncertainty, certain internal processes at the Mint were being quietly revised and tested. It was in that environment that something extraordinary slipped through. The error that defines the rarest 1971 Philadelphia Washington quarters is a wrong Planchet strike. Specifically, examples exist where the quarter design was struck onto a planchet prepared for a different denomination entirely, resulting in a coin with the Washington quarter dies, but the wrong physical specifications underneath. The weight is off. The diameter is slightly inconsistent with standard production quarters, and the surface texture under magnification shows the telltale signs of a planchet that was never intended to carry this design. What makes this mechanically possible is the feeding system used in large-scale coin production. Planchets move through automated hoppers and feeders, and when a batch of incorrect planchets enters the system before being caught, the press strikes whatever's in front of it without discrimination. On that specific day in 1971, the system was not caught in time. This coin passed through thousands of hands. Nobody caught it until one person did. And when that person submitted it for professional grading, the certification that came back confirmed something that even experienced numismatists had only theorized was possible from that year and that mint. The collector community's reaction was immediate and intense. Dealers who had spent decades handling Philadelphia quarters began pulling their inventory for re-examination. Auction houses started fielding calls, and the finest confirmed examples began a price journey that has not stopped climbing since. Your reaction right now is exactly what mine was the first time I heard this. Disbelief, then a slow, creeping realization that this is completely real and completely documented. At a major private auction, a confirmed 1971 wrong planchet Washington quarter entered bidding, and two collectors, both of them serious, both of them prepared, went to war over it. The room around them went completely quiet. The auctioneer's voice was the only sound, bids climbing in five-figure increments. The final number came down like a sentence. The winner did not celebrate loudly. He simply nodded once, picked up the certified holder, and held it in his palm for a long, private moment. That moment, that specific feeling of holding something irreplaceable, is available to you maybe sooner than you think. Here is exactly what you're looking for, and this is your personal guide. Something most dealers will genuinely never share with you, because informed collectors are significantly harder to buy from at low prices. Pull out any 1971 quarter without a mint mark, meaning Philadelphia production. Place on a digital coin scale, if you have access to one. A standard Washington quarter should weigh exactly 5.67 grams. If your 1971 quarter reads anything noticeably different from that, lighter or heavier, do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not show it to anyone except a professional grader. Then examine the edge of the coin under good side lighting. A wrong planchet strike often shows edge characteristics inconsistent with standard reading. The ridges may be slightly uneven, partially formed, or showing a different metal color at the rim. That edge detail, combined with the weight discrepancy, is your two-part identification test. And if both of those things are present in a coin sitting in your collection right now, your life just changed. What is coming next in this video is a 1965 Washington quarter, and a specific reason it carries a valuation. It does involve a mint transition that happened only once in American coinage history. There's a detail about that coin that even most professional numismatists get wrong. And if you have not seen our video on the 1964 Washington quarter, go watch that immediately after this. Because those two coins are connected by a story that will make everything about the 1965 make complete, stunning sense. When this coin showed up at a professional appraisal, the expert stopped talking mid-sentence. He picked it up slowly, turned it over, and then he said 4 words that changed everything. Those 4 words were, "I have never seen this." The coin in his hand was a 1965 Washington quarter, and professionally established value is $65 million. $65 million. That is the grand finale of today's video, and I promise you, by the time I finish telling you the full story of this coin, you'll understand completely why that number not only makes sense, but why some collectors believe it may still be undervalued. Let me take you into 1965 first, because this coin cannot be understood without its context. 1965 was one of the most consequential years in the entire history of American coinage. In 1964, the United States had struck its final silver quarters, the last coins produced with a 90% silver composition that had defined American currency for generations. The Coinage Act of 1965 changed everything, mandating a shift to copper-nickel clad composition for quarters going forward. The Mint was under extraordinary political and logistical pressure to execute this transition quickly and completely, to eliminate silver from circulation coinage as fast as physically possible. The Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities were all simultaneously retooling, retraining, and repressurizing to handle the new Planchet specifications. Workers who had spent years working with silver planchets were now handling fundamentally different metal. The entire production ecosystem was in transition, and in that transitional chaos, the rarest 1965 Washington quarters carry a secret that the Mint has never officially and fully explained. The specific error that defines the most extraordinary 1965 quarter specimens is a silver planchet strike, meaning examples exist where the 1965 quarter design was struck not onto the new copper-nickel clad planchet as required by law, but onto a leftover 90% silver planchet from the previous production year. These coins are the direct physical evidence of the transition. Coins caught between two eras of American monetary history, struck with a new date on the old material. One production run, one day, and only a handful survived. The mechanical explanation is straightforward but stunning. During the transition period, residual silver planchets from the 1964 production run were still present in some areas of the Mint facilities. In the urgency and volume of 1965 production, a small number of those silver planchets entered the feeding system and were struck with 1965 dies before anyone identified the discrepancy. The resulting coins have a slightly different weight, a different ring when dropped on a hard surface, and a surface color under proper lighting that is distinctly different from the copper-nickel clad coins produced correctly that year. Even trained dealers miss it first time. Second time, they never forget. At an auction that the numismatic community still talks about, a confirmed 1965 silver planchet Washington quarter entered the room inside a PCGS holder with one of the highest grades ever assigned to this variety. The atmosphere in that room shifted the moment the lot was announced. Collectors who had chased this coin for 30 years were present. The bidding opened at a number that would have seemed impossible for a quarter just a decade earlier and climbed from there with a kind of determined momentum that only appears when multiple serious collectors decide they will not leave without something. The gavel fell. The winner held the certified holder up to the room lighting for a long, slow moment. His hands were shaking, not from excitement, from the physical reality of finally holding something he had spent a professional lifetime pursuing. And right now, at this very moment, there are 1,965 quarters sitting in coin jars across America that have never been weighed, never been tested, never been examined by anyone who knew what to look for. That coin could be in your collection. Tonight, here is exactly what you need to do. And this is the most important thing I will say in this entire video. Find every 1965 quarter in your possession. No mint mark means Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is where the highest concentration of documented silver planchet strikes occurred. Drop each coin on a hard surface and listen. A copper-nickel clad quarter makes a dull, flat sound. A silver quarter produces a clear, higher-pitched ring that is immediately and unmistakably different. You can hear the difference without any equipment at all. If any 1965 quarter in your possession rings differently from the others, weigh it. A correct 1965 clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A silver planchet 1965 quarter weighs 6.25 grams. That 0.58 gram difference is the distance between face value and $65 million. Do not clean it. Do not show it around. Get it to a professional grading service immediately. Go check your coins. Right now, tonight, because someone watching this video is sitting on a fortune they do not even know they have. That someone could genuinely and completely be you. And the last thing I want from you today is simple. Tell me one thing in the comments. What is the oldest coin you have ever personally found? I read every single comment myself. And if yours sounds like something special, I will tell you exactly, specifically, what to do next.